I have been very interested in how does one deal with a historical science. Ecology is a science of very complex systems, and again, history, of course, which looks at human societies are very complex systems. So in that sense, I have this background which is pertinent to history, but I have no formal training in history. I became interested as part of my trying to understand the ecological developments in the world, but especially in India, in looking at the ecological history. And as Professor Bhatt mentioned, I was in a way surprised but delighted that people did receive the work on ecological history that Ramchandra Guha and I did with certainly interest. So the methods that I am going to talk about today are developed spontaneously without any training in history. Whatever seemed to work, as I said, I tried to use. And actually when Professor Bhatt said I should talk about historiography, I had to go look up what is historiography. It is basically put out to do with methods, approaches. So I will try to illustrate the many methods I have tried to employ. They are a range of methods which may be of interest, and approaches, issues that I have addressed. And I will use as two case studies, so to say, two themes in which I have been interested, two of the themes. One is the traditional practices of conservation, and the other is pastoralism. People who earn livelihoods as specialist herders of buffaloes, cattle, sheep, whatever. So using those two as themes, I will try to illustrate the range of methods and so on. And I would be now grateful if no more flashes come to my eye. This is the last one, if you don't mind. Thank you very much, because my eyes have become a little old and they get blinded again and again with these flashes. So if you will excuse me, let's start. I think this is quite enough for photography. Okay, thank you. So, as I said, let me try to illustrate what I have understood of historiography. Wikipedia says it is the study of the methodology and development of history as a discipline. It can, or the term is also used for a body of historical work on specialized topics, such as, of course, environmental history of India would be one such topic. The way history has been written, and not just the events, but the interpretation of the events that various historians are engaged in. It also talks of narratives as a way of writing history. I have written some narratives. I will not talk too much about it. And for example, sacred groves as one of the traditional practices. I started my interest by looking at specific sacred groves, and I did write narratives of the history I could piece together of two specific groves, sacred groves, one in Pune district and one in Raigad districts, the Western Ghat areas of Maharashtra. But what I want to talk about is an attempt to take a broader approach, trying to interpret rather than get involved in specific narratives. So let me begin with a recent experience in Goa. There is a village called Kaure in Kepe Taluka, and there is a mine there called the Devapan mine. And the mine, the Devapan is a word, Konkani word, which means sacred ground in fact. So the mine has two names, the Devapan mine or the Devdongar mine. So it is a clear designation that this mine is located where there is a sacred ground, where on a sacred hill. Now it so happens that in 2006, the government of India has passed a law called the uh, Forest Rights Act, to say briefly, the rights of the traditional forest dwellers and scheduled tribes over the forest areas. And there is very specific mention about sacred sites, and you might have read a long debate in the newspapers that has been going on about one such sacred site called Niyamgiri in Orissa, where a mine is going to be set up, and there has been huge debate. There is a full government commission led by a very senior IAS officer, Naresh Saxena, which has passed many strictures of government for having violated this sacred site for mining. However, nothing like that has happened in Goa, but there have been difficulties. So I went to this Devan, and I bathed in a water spring, a spring which comes out of this sacred grove. It's a well-known spring, a small waterfall, and many people from around come there to enjoy bathing. And so the spring very much exists. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the environmental impact assessment of this mine, on the basis of which a clearance has been given, neither acknowledges that there are any scheduled tribals present in the vicinity, though the Kaure village is essentially purely of scheduled tribals, nor does it acknowledge that there is a sacred grove, and indeed it does not acknowledge that there is even any springs on that. And I went and I then wrote formally also to the mine management, and mine management came back with a response saying that what you thought was a water course, and of course I saw water and I bathed in it, was Maya. It's an illusion. If you see the geological map, there are no blue lines, so there are no streams. So, historical evidence, presumably, lot of historians, as I understand, a lot of social scientists entirely depend on archival evidence, written evidence. And again, working as a field biologist for last many years, I have discovered that much of what is written down is either imperfect depiction of facts or deliberately falsified depiction of facts. So one of the things which the historians should surely do is to look where possible at what is happening on the ground and relate it to their investigations. And D.D. Kosambi, in whose name I have the honor of holding this chair at Goa University, D.D. Kosambi has this influential paper, many of you may be aware, I think it was called Living Prehistory in India, that he pioneered looking at anthropological evidence, ethnological evidence, evidence on ground today of societies which are employing technologies which are less sophisticated than the more sophisticated technologies of the day, and therefore are representatives of perhaps societies at earlier historical stages of with less sophisticated technology. And he talks about how to interpret this living prehistory in terms of history. And I have, as I said, as we will go along, maybe I will show other ways in which one can do this. So this is a very interesting point. And in fact, when I was in, I guess, the first year BSc, I read D.D. Kosambi's book on history of, it's called History of Indian Civilization, or it's a well-known book on history. Kosambi wrote, and then there is another book called Myth and Reality. Now, I think it is in Myth and Reality, not in the history book, that he talks about Sthala Devatas, that is to say, local deities, deities of particular localities, places, and the kind of traditions associated with them. In this Devpad sacred grove, in fact, also there is the Sthala Devata of that area, Kashi Purush of the Vedics of Kauri. So presumably it is a kind of myth of an ancestor who came and settled there and